Good morning, everyone. Today is our Thursday class. So let's start this Taittiriya Upanishad class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhava Swaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Diyo yo nah prachodayat asto ma satgamya tamso ma jyotirgamya mrityur ma amritam gamya om sehna vavatu sehno bhunaktu saviryam karvavehi tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidvishavehi om shanti shanti shanti. Let's do that Shanti mantra from this Taittiriya Upanishad also. Om Shanho Mitra Sham Varunaha Shamno Bhavatu Aryama Shamnaha Indro Brihaspati Shamno Vishnu Urukrama Namo Brahmane Namate Vayo Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahm Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tatmam Avatu Tat Vaktaram Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let's open our books. And we are still trying to understand the Anandamaya Kosha. So this Rishi beautifully explained all these koshas, all the sheets of our personality. Okay, and Anandamaya Kosha is the subtlest. So it starts with the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then fifth one is Anandamaya Kosha. So let's look at this verse. At ataha anuprashnaha ut avidvan amum lokam pretye kaschan gachati aho vidvan amum lokam pretye kaschit sam ushrute uhu. At means now. Atah, therefore. Anuprashnaha, the following question. Ut means whether, avidvan, the ignorant. See, vidvan is wise, avidvan, ignorant. Amum, there, lokam, world, pretye, having left. Kaschan, any, gachati, goes. Aho, or vidvan, knower, amum, lokam, the world, pretye, having left, kaschit, any, some shrute, attains. U means whether. So thereupon arise the following questions. Does the ignorant living this world go there? There means to Brahma. Or does the knower living this world attain that? So this is a question. So after dying, where do we go? Because if our essence is nothing but Atma, then we should go back into Paramatma. So this is the question. So disciple is asking this. Will not a human creature, even when he does not know anything of the Atma, that is avidvan, without any of the self-effort at ethical or moral living, never did any meditations, reach the Supreme on living from this world of existence. So it's almost like when a chain is made out of gold, whether the links in the chain know it or not, when the chain is melted, it cannot become anything other than the gold itself. So that's why this disciple is questioning this. What is the special benefit derived by this spiritual way of living? Because every born creature ultimately merge back to become its cause, which is the Supreme. So here the question is upon the futility of any conscious spiritual endeavor. And the other question is, does one who knows the reality reach the supreme experience after his departure from here? So what really happens? So the full implication of these questions will be understood when we read more and more of this Taittiriya Upanishad. But keep in mind, these are the two questions in a disciple's mind. Let's look at the next verse. Sa akamyat bahusyam prajaye iti sa tapaha atapyat sa tapaha taptavaha idgam sarvam asrijat yat idam kimcha tat srishtvaha tat ev anupravishat tat anupravishye satcha tyatcha abhavat niruktam cha aniruktam cha nilayam cha anilayam cha vigyanam cha avigyanam cha satyam cha anritam cha satyam abhavat yat idam kim cha tat satyam iti achakshate tat api eshaha shlokaha bhavati. So means he akamyat desired. Bahu means many. Syam means may I become. Prajayam, may I be born. Iti means thus. Sa means he. Tapaha, atapyat. Tapa is the austerity, atapyat performed. Sa means he. Tapaha taptavaha, having performed austerity. Idgam thus, sarvam all. Asrijat, created. Yat idam kimcha, whatever that is here. That means have created. That means it. Ev means verily. Anu pravishat, entered into. Again, that means it. Anu pravishye, having entered. Sat, the manifest. Cha means and. Tyat, the beyond. Abhavat, became. Niruktam, the defined. Aniruktam, undefined. Nilayanam, housed. Anilayam, houseless. Vigyanam, knowledge. Avigyanam, ignorance. Satyam, truth. Anritam, the false. Satyam, manifest. Abhavat, became. Yat idam kim, whatever that is here. Tat satyam, therefore existence. Iti achakshate, thus it is called. That means about that. Api also, eshaha this, shlokaha verse, bhavati, there is. He desired. Who is he? The God, Brahma. He desired. I shall become many and be born. He performed tap. Having performed tap, he created all this, whatever we perceive. Having created it, he entered into it. Having entered it, he became the manifest and the unmanifest, the defined and the undefined, the housed and the houseless, knowledge and ignorance, truth and falsehood, and all this whatsoever that exists. Therefore, it's called existence. In this sense, there is the following Vedic verse. So we'll see the Vedic verse after this. So the supreme, all-pervading consciousness, which is the substratum for the entire world, is itself the conscious part of the life within us, which is called Atma. So teacher continued to explain how the infinite came to play the game of the finite in this verse. It is not just accident, nor by the intervention of anything other than itself. He didn't need anything else. It happened to entertain a desire to become and play the game of life. So the Supreme first desired, meaning when a desire bumped up in that ocean of perfection, we should always understand that in its all fullness, desire is also in it. But he performed tap. He desired, then he performed tap. Tap is concentrated and constant, consistent thinking in the line of desired object. That is tap. These thoughts dynamize the desire and the individual, meaning the Supreme identified with its desire. He struggled to create the necessary world in which it can fulfill its desire. And having created the world, he enters into it. So it's not that he just stayed away and watched. He entered into it. That means comes to live in an intimate and immediate relationship with the world of objects so created. That's why we say God is everywhere. Not just only in the saints and the seers, not just only in the human beings. There's no place where God is not. This is what our Vedic rishis are telling us. And then he concludes, he says, the Supreme himself became the entire world of experience in polarity. So in this birth of the polarity from the Supreme, no division or change has taken place into the infinite. There's no division there. That infinite is there and not there. It's everywhere still. Because the finite or this created universe is only a superimposition on the infinite. Remember that. It's only a superimposition. Every object of experience came from that one substratum, which is divine, all-pervading, which we call Supreme Self. So everything has come from there. If all these objects have risen up from the truth, in what way can we detect something that is common to all things, both manifest and unmanifest? So this is called existence. All of them do exist. So this is an expression of supreme consciousness. So this truth is embracing all objects and giving them a glamour of existence, whether it's a tree or whether it's a bug, whether it's a snake or whether it's a cloud. They all exist. So there is a Vedic mantra which endorses it. This is what this Rishi is saying. And he is quoting the next verse from the Vedas. He says, Asadve idam agre asit, tataha ve sad ajayat, tat atmanagam swayam akurut, tasmat tat sukritam uchyate iti. Asad, non-existence. Ve means verily. Idam means this. Agre, in the beginning. Asit was. Tataha, from that. Ve means indeed. Sad, existence. Ajayat, was born. Tat means that. Atma nagam, itself. Swayam, by itself. So itself, by itself. Didn't need anybody else. Akurut, created. Tasmat, therefore, tat means it, sukritam, well made. Sukrit, su means acha, good. Uchyate called, iti means thus. In the beginning was verily this non-existence. From that the existence was born. That created itself by itself. Therefore, it's called the self-made or the well-made, sukritam. So that means in the beginning, that is before the manifested world was created, it was all in a state of non-existence, like unmanifested. So in the sense that existence as we know, we can see the planets, we can see the plants, we can see other human beings, animals. So that is the existence we know, conditioned by the various objects, manifest and unmanifest, did not exist in the beginning, he says. That's why he says non-existence existed. Out of that non-existence, the existence was born. So from that unmanifested, manifested was born. It's almost like out of a piece of silver, gold pot cannot be made. From a silver, silver can be born. So if out of non-existence, if existence was born, then what we mean by non-existence can only be the non-existence of the created. So that means that form is not there, but that doesn't mean the seed wasn't there. So from existence alone can the existence emerge. So that's why this philosophy does not say it is a shunya, it is a vacuum. It only uses the word asat. In this creation, no intervention of a creator is shown in the mantra. It only says that itself by itself. So Supreme created itself by the itself. It's almost like let's look at our analogy of our dream. We dream every night. In our dream, if we are roaming in the jungles, if we see a lion over there preying on us, pounces on us, because that lion has come from behind a bush. So the bush, the jungle, and the lion, which is preying on us, who created it? All are created from me by myself. There was no help taken from outside. It's from my mind. And the moment I withdraw back into the waking state of consciousness, the dream fades away into the nothingness. There's no jungle, there's no bush, there's no lion, and there's no pouncing. So this pluralistic world is nothing but himself. And he, being perfect and divine, created this world, is not to be condemned. It's not born out of sin. It is a sukritam, well done, divinely planned, and perfectly executed. That's what the Vedic seers are telling us. Anyone who has followed the Taittiriya Upanishad properly and realized the truth indicated by it cannot feel any imperfection anywhere in the world. Because polarity is only a superimposition upon reality. So the existence, wherever it be, is but an existence borrowed from the Supreme. So the entire world of multiplicity comes to wear a robe of divinity, aura of perfection. That's what he's telling us, sukritam. Our material mind likes to find flaws, even in beautiful creation. So remember Sukritam. Next verse. Yat ve tat sukritam rasa vesa rasgam hi ev ayam labdhava anandi bhavati ko hi ev anyat ka pranyat yat eshaha akashaha anandanya syat esha hi ev anandyati. Yat means this. That means Brahma. Where means verily. Tat means that. Sukritam, well made. Rasaha, joy. Normally we use the word ras for a taste. Joy. Where means verily. Sa means he. Rasgam, taste. He indeed. Ev means only. I am this one. Labdhava, having obtained. Anandi, blessed. Bhavati, becomes. He means indeed. Ev means just. Anyat, ka, pranyat. Who else can breathe in or out? Yat means if. Eshaha, this. Akashaha, the space or the ether. Anandaha, joy. No sayat, were not there. Eshaha, this one. He means surely. Ev, indeed. Anandayati, he brings us joy. This, which was well made or self made, that is joy. Having obtained this taste, man becomes blessed. For who can breathe out or breathe in if this joy were not there in the cavity of the heart? And this Brahma himself brings us joy. So the oneness of the created world and the creator is nowhere in any other philosophy so beautifully brought out, so perfectly. There is no sense of a disrespect of the finite. Especially after we experience the infinite. And that is a goal for a seeker, an abhyasi. Because then you will recognize, you will respect, revere, adore, worship. You will sing the glories as nothing but the Supreme itself. Very positive philosophy, which really roars its reverence to life. Whether our domestic life or a social life or a communal life, national or even international, there's no place where God is not. He's everywhere. Because life itself throbs with the reality. And the pain and imperfections in it are but the ulcers that we have created by our misuse of life. When we were ignorant. Or maybe sometimes out of our own stupidity. It's almost like any temple can become as dirty as a garbage can if we misuse it. So that is our own stupidity. So in our irreverence to life and non-recognition of the divinity everywhere, we breed mutual hatreds, enmities, which molest the social security or even beauty of life. So ras is that which is enjoyable. So it is not a non-existence, nothing, but an existent factor, ras, which gives pleasure and joy. So on realizing the self, though we negate all objects of the body, mind, and intellect in our transcendence, because that's what we say. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. Those were the sheaths which he told us about. After that, it's not an inert zero, an empty non-entity, but it's a positive bliss. That's what that yogi is experiencing. So this idea is indicated here by declaring Atma as a full of rasa, and can be observed in life when we observe and devote clearly. The experience of the self in itself is a positive joy. Lord Krishna talks about that in Bhagavad Gita. Self by the self. So perfect in itself that all the sensuous objects put together cannot ever give even a trace of its eternal perfection. Because we constantly are looking for the bliss or the happiness and the joy from the objective world. When that fountain of bliss is right here within us. We just are going, running here and there. So this teacher has explained this much and tried to express himself the glory of the spiritual experience. We need to become established into this naturally. Sure, in the beginning, we have to make some sadhana, but once you experience it, naturally you will be there. Because that memory of that will shoot up. It will explode in that general life also. And that's what he's saying in these statements. So in this outburst, we hear echoes of the teacher's desperation at the incapacity of the language to express the infinite Brahmananda rasa. No matter how deep the languages cannot capture this Brahmananda rasa. This is what we have to experience. He declares that none can breathe on the face of the globe and continue to live if the source of all joy was not there in his heart. That this Brahma alone brings us all joy. So all the source of all the joy is Brahma. We got to remember that. That's why those famous verses from Bhagavad Gita, Brahmavir, Brahmagni, Brahmhuto, everything is Brahma. So the most important thing we just forget, and we get deluded into the superimpositions. Let's look at one more verse. Yada hi ev eshaha etasmin adrishyehe anatmaya aniruktehe anilyane abhyam pratishtham vindate athasa abhyam gata bhavati yada hi ev eshaha etasmin udaram antram kurutehe athatasye bhayam bhavati tatatu ev bhayam vidushaha manvanasye tat api eshaha shalokah bhavati. Yada means when, he means indeed, ev means thus. Eshaha, this. So that means this seeker. Etasmin, in this, who is invisible. Anatmaya, bodiless. It's almost like a incorporeal. Aniruktehe, in, when you cannot explain something, inexplicable. Anilayne, unsupported. Abhyam, fearlessness. Pratishtham, oneness. Vindate, attains. At means then, sa means he, abhyam, fearless. Gataha, attained, bhavati, becomes. Yada means when, he means however, ev means verily, eshaha, this one. Etasmin, in this. U means even, dharam, slightest. Antram, distinction. Kurute makes. At means then, tasya to him, bhayam fear. Bhavati is. Tat means that, tu means indeed, ev certainly, bhayam fear. Vidushaha, the knower, all knower, vidusha. Manvanasya, for one who does not reflect. It's like a thoughtless. Tat means that, api also, esha, this shloka verse. Bhavati is. When this Atma attains the fearless oneness with Brahm, who is invisible, bodiless, inexplicable, and unsupported, then he becomes free from fear. When, however, this makes even the slightest distinction in Brahma, then there is a danger for him. That very same Brahm himself becomes the source of his fear. For him who makes a difference and who reflects not to the same effect, there is a following verse. So, adrishya, invisible. What does it mean? That means the Brahm cannot be cognized through the known avenues of the perception. That means the sense organs. You remember when Arjun wanted to see God, because Lord Krishna said, I'm everywhere. Arjun said, I cannot see you. Lord Krishna said, with these eyes of yours, material eyes, you cannot see me. I'll have to give you divya chaksha, divine eyes. So that's what invisible means. Atma, being the subject, is not perceivable. What is visible is a modification or a vikar, like a phenomena. That which is a vikar or a modification alone can take a gross form. Brahm is described here as formless because it's not a modification. Because it is the cause for all the modifications. So he is not because of certain modifications. All effects and their attributes have the support of the substratum, the Brahma, but there's no support for it. That's why we call it a supportless. The Brahma is established in no, so it supports everything and it does not need any support. That is the glory of Brahma. And a person who has experienced this oneness with the Brahma becomes free from the fear. Because fear can come only from something other than ourselves. Nobody is afraid of themselves. When a seeker successfully realizes his oneness with the entire universe, the sense of distinctions end, and he has no sense of fear at all, anywhere. So the same truth which gives fearlessness to the realized provides the occasion for fear to those who do not give enough meditative thoughts. They stay fearful. That's what he's saying over here. And in the next section, we have a complete picture of the dynamism of this spiritual center and also a comparative statistics which gives us a certain concrete measure to divinize this or understand this joy also, what this joy really means. Joy of the self-realized. So we'll start that next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. And thank you very much for coming.